I'm happy to be here because now we're going to start talking about how we can actually start to evoke some behavioral change and have some tactical steps to start to defeat a lot of these issues that are also smart for business. Because at the end of the day, we still got to run our business, and we got to think about how we can start to create these behavioral changes, how we can start to change consumer behavior and manufacturing behavior while still maintaining a successful business. Because, oh yeah, there's that thing too that we still got to think about. So my name is Josh Reddin. I'm the CEO of Plum River Technologies and a B2B platform called Elastic. And I'm a digital nerd. I've spent my entire career thinking about how we can use technology to evoke positive behavioral change. And it started in my career of saying, how can we get consumers to buy online? Yeah, cut out the middleman. Offer that product that can just, create this whole new channel for us. So we started building B2C sites and studying consumers and their behavior and their behavioral patterns and their habits. And how can we create a platform that will get them to be so compelled by a product or a story or a program that they'll buy it without touching it, without feeling it, without putting it on. And we got really good at it. We got really good at it. So much so I don't even get to go to Costco anymore. I come home, like, see the Costco stuff, and I said, honey, you went to Costco without me? She goes, no, I just ordered it online. And so now what we got to think about is how we get butts out of seats, people from behind their devices, and back out into retail using digital. So hence digital to combat digital. So in order to compete, we know that we've got to present directive and curated product offerings. We know that at retail, we have to create this cinema, this opportunity for retail or for consumers that are going to be so compelled by the product mix, they're going to buy it. And they're not only going to buy it, they're going to buy it at full retail. They're going to be so compelled by what you're presenting in front of them, the stories you're building around it, the attitude of whoever's selling it, that they're inspired to buy now and not go back and showroom you online. But to do that, we need collaboration. In order to gain that collaboration, we need direct lines of communication. And in order to gain that, we need visual and efficient digital platform to achieve that. Because we can't get out and drive around, because again, we're trying to be more conscious of our environmental impact, to drive around all of our shops and make sure that our product is the mix, it's merchandised properly. So a digital platform brings that together. In order to bring that together, we need standardization. We need the retailers to have one kind of standardized platform that allows all these brands and all these retailers to communicate in a cohesive and efficient way. And that's what we're here to do with the Elastic platform and try to save the industry. And, we've got some good brands that have bought into this concept. Curation, segmentation, visual merchandising, all the things you talk about, every year at the time when you go try to attack a market. And gosh, we've been lucky enough to start to build this standardized process. But the devil that's still kind of up is the traditional catalog. As we think about, from a business standpoint, the inefficiencies, as soon as we sit on print check, for 3 weeks before this thing prints, and by that time, it's 20% inaccurate. Price change, style drops, all the things that inevitably happens in the product life cycle is happening now. Then by the time that you get to sales meeting, it's about 30% inaccurate. And by the time you go to market, this big-ass printed book that you just created is about 90% irrelevant now at this point, and obviously a horrible and inefficient way to do business. And we've all been arguing about it. You sit every year going, hey, God, are we going to finally stop printing these damn books? Are we going to finally stop making our retailers carry these things around? Are we finally going to realize that we can do things in a more efficient and better way, but yet we just still don't do it? Maybe that's negligence. When we first got in this industry, I remember, we were building these big B2C sites, and I got behind the curtain of these brands, and I watched the way the business was being done. Big book, a monster. Flipping through it, looking at some samples, scribbling and circling, kind of what they wanted. Made some notes, dog-eared some pages, threw that thing in their backpack, and moved on to the next meeting. And it made me think, who remembers the Sears Wish book? Am I dating myself? You guys remember that thing? Big-ass catalog from Sears and Roebuck with everything you could want. Washing machines, to He-Man, and the Hot Wheels, racetrack to the footy jammies you wanted when you were a kid. And when I was a kid, I'd flip through that massive book, I'd circle and scribble what I wanted for Christmas, And then my mom or my grandma would come back through, look for the dog-eared pages, and then make a behavioral, conscious consumer decision to go buy that by virtue of my scribbles and circles in a workbook. That's how billion-dollar commerce is being conducted still today. Your buyers are coming in with these massive books, dog-earing pages, scribbling and circling, then transcribing that to maybe a B2B if you're lucky, or electronic order form or some sort of spreadsheet. And that's how these decisions and these purchase decisions are still being made. How I picked what I wanted for Christmas in the late 1970s. So we knew there had to be a better way. And again, we had to make a business case first. And I think that's what's critical. And so as we came to market, it was all about operational efficiencies. You're just going to be better. You're going to be more accurate. You're going to be quicker to market. You're going to see sales growth because you're going to use a digital platform that's so much more compelling. You can visually merchandise. You can story tell. You can do things in digital that you can never do in print. And ultimately, and what's a really good story here is you're going to save money. You're going to save resources. You're going to save hours of laying these books out in Photoshop and InDesign. And those were the messages that resonated. Always underlying was an environmental benefit, not printing. I mean, it's logically smart, but it wasn't compelling enough to the business. It wasn't compelling enough to the industry to make that leap. We had to sell it here first. We had to show the industry, and this, I think, was the challenge we face. We have to see business efficiency, bottom line savings before we say, okay, oh, and by the way, there's an environmental story. That is the problem. And that's why we're all here to change it. But how great is it when you get both? And that's what we're here to say, is that you can achieve that by stop printing these books. But we were scared. The retailers love them. It's the way you've been doing it since the 50s. Oh my gosh, if we don't show up with a printed book, our dealers are they're gonna fucking freak out. They're gonna shit their pants. And the sales team would always come back in and say, you can't take away our catalogs. My God, how am I gonna sell? I gotta feed my family. And so every single year we talk about it, but we don't do it. And I can look out here, and every single brand you work for, I know you haven't done it yet. You're still printing. I guarantee you, when you go to market for fall-winter, and give your fall-winter sales meeting in October, you're gonna roll out a shitload of catalogs. I know it. Because, thankfully, these guys came to the rescue. Say what you will about this brand, but they said enough is enough. They've worked with us. They've been a great client of ours for years. They've embraced, all the other concepts that we talked about: segmentation, merchandising, putting the right product in front of the right buyer at the right time, in-store, storytelling, always evolving the product. But they said, all right, Josh, we're going to be the first. Because I was begging anybody who would listen, let's stop this. It just takes one. It takes one who has the guts, who has the courage to show up at market without a book. Because the digital platform is so much stronger, so much more compelling, so much more real-time, so much more engaging. But we had to get over that step of fear. And they did it. And man, did it make an impact. So now we have a metric. We have all these great stories around cost savings, incremental lifts, sales efficiency, all the great things that we know digital does in the B2B space. But we've never had a metric. We've never had a true, tangible story to show the impact of stop printing these books. And granted, none of us are the North Face and the size. And in first year, 14.5 million pages of print was eliminated. That turned to a preservation of 48 acres of forest in 1 year. 48 acres to your deforestation story. But that doesn't stop there, because it's not just wood that these books, cause problems for. The CO2 footprint, we reduced about, 3.22 million pounds. I think, we're going to get into some more metric here when we talk about your industry. But that environmental story finally hit. And the light came on of like, whoa, wait, it's better for business. It's smarter, more efficient. It makes us better sellers. It allows us to put product in front of the consumer at a better rate. It allows us to sell not just in, but sell through. But we get to do this. So then people like Shannon and Ted Lee and the surf industry started to take notice, saying, damn, okay, we should really start to get serious about this. But the other cool thing to pay that off, a 35% reduction within their B2B sales and marketing budgets. So you're making this impact,
You're seeing better, smarter sales. You're seeing incremental lift in those sales, and you're saving 35%. Because that's the rub, man. I mean, when you make an environmental choice, when you make a conservation choice, it usually comes at a cost, right? I grew up as an organic apple farmer in the 1970s. My grandpa. Do you think that was very successful? 1970s? When you had an organic apple, it just looked like a shitty apple with a worm coming out of it. No one would buy that apple. They wanted that shiny red apple. And we sold 40 pounds, 40-pound box of organic apples for $10. $10, 40-pound box. Go to a farmer's market today and see how many apples you get for $10. I think probably 4. And the farm 5 miles down the road sold the same 40-pound box for $10 of shiny red apples that didn't have pock marks and didn't have worms crawling through them because they weren't organic. But back in those days, organic just meant it looked like shit. So but my grandfather still had to make that conscious effort. He had to take that financial hit, and it hurt. Let me tell you, I think I got one pair of shoes a year, and it was from Sears and Roebuck's, of course, out of the Sears and Roebuck's wish book. But we had to make that conscious effort to evoke a behavioral change, and it hurt. It hurt financially. It required more work. It required more effort. And most of these changes, these behavioral changes around sustainability do, but not this one. Not this one. You don't have to lay them out in Photoshop or InDesign anymore. You don't have to print them. You don't have to ship them. We're just using a different medium, and we're saving money along the way. So thankfully, the North Face took it on the nose for us. They showed up to market without workbooks. The retailers are pretty pissed. And North Face said, well, what are you going to do, not buy us? Okay, then don't buy us. So we needed more, though, and so luckily the outdoor industry didn't let them hang out to dry, and we got involved with the Grassroots Outdoor Alliance. This is a group of about the top 200 retail buyers in the outdoor industry. And the Grassroots Alliance said, hey, we're really proud of what you're doing, North Face and Elastic. We're going to get behind you, and we're going to promote and push for a paperless trade show. Now, Grassroots is owned and operated by the retailer, right? The reason why we're so afraid to make this change, the people we're so afraid to alienate and upset are saying, all right, we're in. And so then other brands got involved. Cool. A brand called Rab got involved. And in fact, at this trade show, where the hell is that thing, Tennessee? What's the name of that town? Knoxville. Yeah, we're on godforsaken Knoxville for this thing. And one of our clients, Rab, is a really cool outdoor brand. Their truck breaks down on the way to Knoxville. Trade show starting. This is a buying show. I mean, there's 200 of the top buyers that are lined up. They didn't have samples, and they didn't have catalogs. They ran over to our booth at the trade show and like, hey, you guys got any extra iPads? Yeah, we got a couple. They said, what do you need them for? I said, we got to show our line. We got to write orders. We got to book orders right now. They're starting in 20 minutes. We don't have samples, and we don't have catalogs. But we got iPads, and we got to digitize, and we got a B2B platform. And for a full day, Rab, this really did happen. We made a video about it and everything. Conducted line showings, booked orders without one sample and without one printed book. So Grassroots took notice of that and said, shit, our retailers came in. They're happy to buy at that level using this iPad. Let's adopt this. And so now with this model, with this playbook, now we know that even though the retailers are saying, at first, we were a little apprehensive. Well, of course you were. Just like when we go into a bathroom that doesn't have paper towels. I'm a little apprehensive to stick my hand in that weird blower dryer thing. It's a behavioral change, right? I was a little apprehensive to pick up that big-ass iPhone and put it in my pocket. I just wanted my Motorola Razr phone. You know, I mean, anytime there's a behavioral change, you're apprehensive. But, as they continued to say, it was great. And there's going to be a learning curve, but we're willing to put in that time. Because for this conservation effort, for this behavioral change, that's all it takes. It's just a little bit of extra time. Just changing the way you do things. Rather than flipping pages in a book, you're swiping on an iPad. Rather than scribbling and circling with a pen, you're using a stylus. It's a behavioral change. It's using technology for the things that technology can really bring change and value to with zero cost. Zero cost to you, the user. And so now with Grassroots, we have all these great metrics now. You know, on the macro level, brands can strategically position. They've got something more real time, more compelling from a practical level. They don't have to lug around all these things and bring an extra suitcase. I mean, these buyers come to these trade shows, have to bring an extra suitcase just for the catalogs. I mean, it's lunacy. And so, now they can get immediate information that's accurate. Store efficiency, they can collaborate, they can view electronically, they can see real time, they can zoom, they can spin and 360, use all the assets that digital can do. So the good news, guys, here is the retailers are into it. And that was the barrier, right? That was the fear. We all knew it was smarter for business. We all knew it was smarter for the economy, or the environment. We all knew it was going to be a better business practice. We were just scared. Well, it's happened now. And then the other good news is, for this industry, big brands are lined up to evoke this change. It's not like in the outdoor industry where the North Face just went head first and took it on the chin, because we already have Board Riders, Billabong, Volcom, Hurley, brand Olakai, brands that players in this industry are saying, we're going to not do this together. And that's going to make a pretty big impact. So we did a little bit of research. That's the impact just printing these little tiny, silly workbooks is making on the environment. So these numbers might seem big, so we broke it down per brand. We kind of took a smaller brand. We're thinking, all right, pick 2,500 books, 150 pages each, smaller run. You're still whacking down 45 trees. You're still using 51,000 gallons of water. You're still creating almost 3,000 pounds of waste. So again, this is something we can do together. This is something that's happening, and this is the impact we can make. And so as we listened to the first presentation, I was like, my gosh, I was like sinking deeper and deeper in my seat. Like, this is really heavy, man. Like, how are we going to do this? But this is out of the gates day one. We can go make this kind of impact by doing something that's smart for our business and saves us money. So that's why we're here. And that's why we're with SIMA, and it's an honor, really. That we get to work, we get to work with these incredible brands and these incredible people that make this incredible product and tell these great stories. But to be aligned with, these brands down along the bottom already, we've got a really good head start with the buy-in from these brands to embrace this concept, and I hope that the rest of the industry will follow. I think the other cool thing we're doing with the SIMA group is we're going to work really hard to continue to advance the retailer and manufacturer adoption. So we already, have a tremendous amount of outreach to our end users, who are already using the platform for these brands to help them continue to embrace this sort of digital revolution that pushes to what we hope is what we're calling the renaissance in retail. Because it's not just the printing we want to stop. It's all the other things I talked about at the start. Curation, product presentation, sentiment of the consumer. But in order to achieve that, we have to adopt digital. And in order to adopt digital, we got to give up those books. So that's the steps we take. Other cool thing we're doing, kind of simple things, like enhance the trade show experience. Surf Expo said, hey guys, really great what you're doing with all the brands. We'd love to have you there. Would you guys like a booth? I'm like, no, we don't need a booth. What we really want you to do is just beef up the damn internet. Let's start there. How about we get workable, usable, fast, high-speed internet for our manufacturers who are writing orders there? So take the money that you're going to use to give us a booth, and let's just do that. And so we're going to hopefully try to flex our muscles and use our power to push to continue to evoke this change with simple things like that. Faster internet. How about that? Let's start there. But we're always going to be pushing and trying to evolve and progress in those behavioral changes. So it's not, like we're just going to, oh, look at all these great brands we got and stop. Now that we have this metric, impact we're making, we're going to keep pushing. But the other good news is, guys, is you don't need to work with us or adopt, some robust, very well-designed, awesome B2B platform. You can do this without us. You can do this without anybody else. And so this is kind of the roadmap. And tomorrow we'll be sitting down with, I think, Shannon, 14 of the top CEOs in the industry, where we're going to really roll out the playbook for this, because it doesn't require me or our team or anybody else. First thing you can do is just digitize your process. You're laying out and you're developing these books now. Save it as a PDF and throw it on a tablet. And we're going to continue to push the surf show like we did Grassroots, because the one thing I forgot that Grassroots did, they bought all of their retailers' iPads.
And then the retailers are able to come into that trade show and access every book through that iPad digitally. And so to participate, all you have to do is take that book that you're already laying out in Photoshop and InDesign and all the rigmarole you go through, and turn it into a PDF. And then we're going to work with the surf industry to provide a portal in which all retailers just come in and access that. That's step one. Then maybe you want to get a little bit better because you realize by creating that PDF, you still have all those kind of downsides of print. You create the PDF 2 weeks ago, and then 50 styles drop, and this color changes and price changes. So figure out a way to be dynamic. Figure out a process in which you're getting that data real time. So night before trade show, and when you're turning that into a PDF, it's as accurate and as real as it can be. And again, easy, right? I mean, this is just this is data. We can help you with that, but anybody can do this. And then we start to bridge that gap. We start to say, all right, because I'm not in love with this PDF under the tablet with a stylus bridge. I'd rather just the buyer come in and just create orders digitally. I mean, this is the way we want them to go. But we got to bridge that gap. And in between then, how do we take those scribbles and circles on now the PDF, not the printed book, and then convert those to orders? And then finally, step 4, embrace digital completely. We don't do this PDF rigmarole anymore. We don't worry about even laying these out. We just truly evolve to a full digital platform. Step 4, there's still very few that are doing it because we had to have that first step, and that's just getting rid of those books. And that's where we urge you to start. And again, with great leaders, and a lot of them are in this room today, that's what we're going to try to inspire. Because again, I don't know if I was told I couldn't go back. But remember this impact. At each brand level, if you just turn that book into a PDF, you just saved 45 trees this season. At the brand level. And then remember, as an industry, we're talking acres. We're talking 45 acres. We're talking North Face numbers here. And again, Sean, I think these numbers are going to be bigger. But so we're going to continue to track this. We're going to continue to inspire this. And like I said, I think this is a really nice start and an easy step into the sustainability effort. So that's all I got for you. Thanks.